Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. So today we are going to read from the Chaitanya Chaitamrita, text and purports translated and commented upon by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Text, Adi Lila, chapter 9. Which is entitled, it's not entitled. Okay. Text 28. Tri Jagate Yata Ache Dhanaratnamani Ekafalera Mulya Kari Taha Nahi Gani Tri Jagate Yata Ache Dhanaratnamani Ekafalera mulya kori taha nahi gani. Tri Jagate Yata Ache Dhana Ratnamani. Ekafalera mulya kori taha nahi gani. Tri Jagate Yata Ache Dhana Ratnamani. Ekafalera mulya kori taha nahi gani. Mentions that Lord Chaitanya brought this desired tree of devotional service to this earth and became its gardener. He sowed the seed and sprinkled upon it the water of his will. Obeisances are offered to Sri Madhavendra Puri, the storehouse of all devotional service unto Krishna. He is a desired tree of devotional service, and it is in him that the seed of devotional service first fructified. The seed of devotional service fructified in the form of Sri Ishvara Puri, and then the gardener himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, became the main trunk of the tree of devotional service. So the guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Ishvara Puri, and his Gurudev is Sri Madhavendra Puri. So it is in Madhavendra Puri that we find the seed of this special tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, first bearing seed. And it fructified in the Guru of Lord Chaitanya. That is to say, the desire seed of love of God, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to distribute to the world, first appeared in the form of Sri Madhavendra Puri, and he also passed it on to his disciple, Ishvara Puri. By his inconceivable powers, the Lord became the gardener, the trunk, and the branches simultaneously. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is all three. He is the gardener, the trunk, and branches. Then 9 sannyasis became the strong roots from the trunk of the tree, and thus the tree stood steadfast on the strength of these 9 roots. With the sober and grave Paramananda Puri sannyasi as the central root, and the other 8 roots in 8 directions, the tree stood very strongly. From the trunk grew many branches, and above them innumerable others. Thus the branches of Lord Chaitanya's tree formed a cluster or society with great branches covering the entire universe. Prabhupada comments that our International Society for Krishna Consciousness is one of the branches of the Chaitanya tree. From each branch grew many hundreds of sub-branches. No one can count them all. At the top of the tree trunk branched into 2. One trunk was named Advaita Prabhu and the other Sri Nityananda Prabhu. From these 2 trunks grew many new branches and sub-branches that covered the entire world. Thus the disciples and the grand disciples and their admirers spread throughout the entire world, and it is not possible to enumerate all of them. As a big fig tree bears fruits all over its body, each part of the tree of devotional service bore fruit. Srila Prabhupada comments in this regard. Now this is a tree of devotion, and devotion has 9 angas. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. 9-fold process of devotional service. And any one of these processes, either singly or together in combination, bears the fruit which is love of God. So the comparison is made to a fig tree, because if you ever have seen a fig tree produces fruits all over it, on every branch practically. All the length of the entire branch, down on its stem, its trunk, it yields fruits. So every part of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has brought, this wonderful tree, will bring fruit. And we see it practically in the sense that any activity that a devotee takes up, whether it may be cooking prasadam in the kitchen, or going on Sankirtan, or doing deity worship, or even raising a family in Krishna consciousness, or any particular act which is done under the instruction of the spiritual master and for the ultimate purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness. If it is done in proper consciousness, then the result will be that a person will make advancement on the path back to Godhead. This process of devotional life is therefore so liberal, and Lord Chaitanya's movement is so liberal. Srila Prabhupada is such a great personality that he was able to expand the meaning of devotional service and Sankirtan to practically incorporate every possible activity in this world. In the Hare Krishna movie, haven't seen the most recent ones, but I remember the old movie had showed a computer. In those days there weren't so many computers, and it was printing out Hare Krishna. Remember that? In that movie. That is to say, that Prabhupada showed that everything could be utilized in Lord Krishna's service, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. And he showed how everything could be dovetailed, whether it was, big jet planes, computers, different ashrams, the Grihastha ashram, every possible thing which might be necessarily excluded in some people's minds as not being so directly Krishna conscious. Prabhupada showed how they could deliver the fruit of love of God. So today's verse, it mentions before this verse, the fruits ripened and became sweet and nectarian. The gardener, Lord Chaitanya, distributed them without asking any price. This is one of the characteristics of the mood of Lord Chaitanya. He does not consider who is qualified and who is not. If we were to consider who is qualified and who is not, how many of us, what percentage of us would be sitting here today? Rasamrita is shaking his head, saying, not me. Not myself either. And I think practically most people might say the same. That we're so much disqualified for so many reasons. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Patita Pavana. And Nityananda Prabhu is Dina Dayalu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the deliverer of the most fallen. And Nityananda Prabhu is most merciful to the fallen, conditioned souls. So this is our qualification. Our qualification is that we can expect to be delivered by Sri Sri Gaura Nitai because of our fallen condition. But we have to take shelter of the lotus feet. The example is Jagai and Madai. They went to the farthest region of insanity by attacking Lord Nityananda Prabhu. It's practically unimaginable how such a person could nevertheless get love of God, but they did. In previous incarnations, when any demons fought with the Lord, the only thing they got was their heads cut off. That means they got liberation and nothing better. But in the case of Jagai and Madai, they got love of God. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu are so merciful, and they have not made any distinction. So in the same way, when we preach Krishna consciousness, we should be in that liberal mood. We should see how far we can influence all the conditioned souls, and not make a distinction that, oh, this person is more worthy than this person. Just like a book distributor. When a book distributor goes out in Sankirtan, they should not start to make these types of distinctions. Who should I give the book to, and who should I not give the book to? They should try to pass the book to every single person they meet. That is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Lord Chaitanya is so considerate of the needs of everyone that he can influence even persons who ordinarily are not going to take a book to take a book. So we shouldn't make any consideration on our part. The books are meant for everyone. They are meant for everyone. They create good fortune for anyone who takes a book. Just by holding the book, it creates good fortune for them. So even if they don't eventually take the book, they can at least hold it and see it and maybe even appreciate it. And their bhakti begins. Now today's verse mentions, today's verse is, all the wealth in the three worlds cannot equal the value of one such nectarian fruit of devotional service. What does this mean? It means that all of our aspirations, whatever they may be, different people come to Krishna consciousness for different reasons. It is mentioned, Chaturthi Dabhajantimam Janaha Sukritina Arjuna Artho Jignasa Artharti Gyani Chavarata Sabha. 4 types of persons approach me, Krishna says. The person who is in distress, the person who is seeking wealth, the inquisitive person, and one who is searching after knowledge of the truth. So there are different impurities which we bring with us when we come to Krishna consciousness. And therefore we unconsciously pray that these desires which we bring with us may be fulfilled while I'm rendering devotional service. That's called mixed bhakti. I want to be this, I want to be that. Or I want to have it like this, I want to have it like that. Now here it's mentioned that if you put all of the desires, not just your desires, but everybody's desire, in all of the planetary systems of the whole universe together, it cannot equal the value. If all those desires were fulfilled, it cannot equal the value of one nectarian fruit of pure devotional service. What does that mean? That means that actually we should have only one desire. We should have only one desire, and that's for developing love for Krishna. And there should not be anything else within our mind, because everything put together can't even begin to equal the value of this one fruit. then you may say, well, what will happen to all my desires, which I think are important? Those that are important and worthwhile, Krishna will fulfill. And those which are not important, who cares for them? What was the loss anyway? Krishna knows very well what it is that we need, what will be beneficial for us, and He'll fulfill those things. So we should leave it up to Krishna. But we should endeavor and we should approach the Lord with one prayer only. Please give me unalloyed devotion to your lotus feet. Not considering who asked for it and who did not, nor who was fit and who was unfit to receive it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu distributed the fruit of devotional service. Purport. This is the sum and substance of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. There is no distinction made between those who are fit and those who are not fit to hear or take part in the Sankirtan movement. It should therefore be preached without discrimination. The only purpose of the preachers of the Sankirtan movement must be to go on preaching without restriction. That is the way in which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the Sankirtan movement to the world. We should rise now to this level of Krishna conscious realization, that preaching is the essence of our lives, that there's nothing more important than preaching, and that will lift us way beyond the bodily platform. We're all encumbered by these bodies, the gross body and the subtle body, in which we feel and think so many things. But if we dedicate ourselves to preaching, and especially preaching means 3 activities: book distribution, Harinam, and Prasadam distribution. These 3 are the threefold prong, you can say, by which we can do battle with the threefold prongs of Maya, Trigunas: passion, goodness, and ignorance. If we want to fight with Maya, these are the 3 principal weapons: books, the holy name, and prasadam. And if we very strongly push these forward, without discrimination, our only concern should be, I have to go out each day and preach. Then Maya will not touch us. The difficulties that devotees have, we can say are due to 2 principal problems. 1, that they do not chant the holy name of the Lord, avoiding the 10 offenses. And 2, they don't dedicate themselves to the preaching activities of Krishna consciousness. If these 2 things are done very carefully, that you very carefully and cautiously chant your 16 rounds every day, and then you go out and extend yourself, expend your energy for spreading Krishna consciousness, then you will surely make advancement. Surely you will make advancement. Today, so many of you are going to take initiation, especially many brahmacharis and brahmacharinis. So as long as possible, if possible for your whole life, just do this preaching. Just like our mother Kamalini has come here, we're very happy to see her. So when we visited the Sankirtan devotees in El Paso, she said, this is the 21st year of being on a marathon for me, she said. She said, and my prayer now is that as my family is growing up, that I can simply dedicate myself to distributing as many books as possible until my body falls down exhausted. So we simply touch her lotus feet and pray that she blesses us with the same desire. Actually, we should always have this mood, that just try to establish yourself now, when you're young devotees, in this mood of preaching. And pray that it never leaves your heart. You should pray that it never goes out of your heart, because it's the essence of spiritual life. When devotees see Srila Prabhupada, what do they see? Yesterday we discussed the kindness and compassion and qualities of a Mahatma. Today we can say something about the mood of a preacher. Prabhupada was so full of the mood of a preacher. So if we claim to be in this disciplic line, that we're coming in this line of preachers, then it means we have to take up that mood. We have to feel the urgency of delivering Krishna consciousness. It is urgent. If you see a building which is on fire, you immediately rush in and try to save the people who are caught inside. But this material world is said to be a blazing forest fire, and the conditioned souls are burning up. So there has to be a sense of urgency on our part in going out and distributing Krishna consciousness. Never mind that we may not see so many souls coming in here and saying, I've been rescued. That will come in its own time. But we go out and we begin the process of rescuing them. It's not a simple process that you just go, grab someone, and bring them into the temple. We know it doesn't work like that. It begins, first of all, generally with someone getting a book, or getting some prasadam, or hearing the holy names. So start with that process, and feel that you've done your day's work well if you've spent 6, 7, 8 hours going out like this. And consider how you're going to be able to do this your whole life. This should be your meditation. It doesn't matter. Even you enter into the Grihastha ashram, you should try to find a way to preach. Just like Indranila found a way to preach. She went out in Sankirtan. Ajamil also went out in Sankirtan. They're Grihasthas, but they went out. They distributed so many books. They extended themselves. I was thinking that in the newsletter, I hope that someone should write to this, or call them and say that when they write how Indranila Mani won the marathon, that she not only won the marathon, but she stayed up half the night nursing her baby. While everybody else was at home sleeping, after getting exhausted all day preaching, she had to stay up half the night feeding her baby, getting woken up all night. And still she went out and preached. This mood will certainly get us the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When there's this type of dedication and sacrifice made, it greatly moves the Lord to see a devotee's mood like this. Bhakti Troy, you saw her out there. This was your real, you thought that the Bhakti training program hadn't begun yet, but actually you got the best training. You got the best first month training that anyone could ever get. It was like being in the womb. You got to, you were still in the womb, but you got to hear Narada Muni's instructions. Just like Prahlad Maharaj was in his mother's womb, and Narada was preaching to his mother, and Prahlad was sitting there listening. So even though you may think you had the Bhakti training program didn't start yet, but what could be a better training than to see, this is the fruit of the training program, to see an empowered preacher going out in a dedicated way, and just to people, as Bhakti Troy said, he said, I couldn't believe all the people that would come, that she would meet. I'm sure you felt that there was no, so many times you thought this person is going to take a book, or this person's the most ordinary person you could ever want to meet. And yet all these ordinary persons went away carrying Prabhupada's books. That this is the special nature of a devotee's association. This is the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we're connected to this tree, the result will be that the preaching will be potent. Prabhupada said one of the qualities of a Vaishnava is that he makes others remember Krishna. He can make others remember Krishna. Just by seeing a Vaishnava, we should remember Krishna. The transcendental gardener, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, distributed handful after handful of fruit in all directions. And when the poor hungry people ate the fruit, the gardener smiled with great pleasure. So this is such a nice image. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sitting. We should not think that Lord Chaitanya is only in his Navadvip Leela. He is in his Navadvip Leela. Navadvip Leela means the pastimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed first at Navadvip and then at Puri. These are his Nitya Leela. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also the Lord within the heart. And he is also the gardener of the entire Sankirtan tree. Therefore, Prabhupada said that when a devotee goes out and preaches, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is present. And he watches. Just like if we watch a drama, and as the audience we sit there and we appreciate when the actors perform very nicely, or where the dancers dance or very nicely. And then if it's done very well, everyone says, sadhu, sadhu. They praise the person by saying, sadhu, sadhu. Well done, well done. In the same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sitting as the audience, and he is watching when we go out and preach. So we should not think that, oh, we're at a stoplight, or oh, we're at a mall, or in an airport, or, in some parking lot, and there's no one but a bunch of, karmis around us, and 2 demoniac guards patrolling. We should actually think that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the whole disciplic succession are sitting as an audience, and they're simply watching. And we should then go out with that mood. And after each book is distributed, we should bow down to them, take a bow, then go to the next. And each time they'll say, sadhu, sadhu. A devotee should never feel in any way separated from the Lord. Prabhupada said, I never felt myself alone for a moment. Never feel myself alone for a moment. Wherever we may be. We should always understand this, that the Lord and His representatives are with us always. And then we get the strength to overcome all anxieties. We feel sometimes so much anxiety. Why? Because we don't understand that Guru and Krishna and all of the Parampara are with us always. So we should make very intense effort at our sadhana. We should call the spiritual master to be present. We should call the disciplic succession to be present. We should call the Lord to be present, and then we should do our sadhana in their association. Not that I think I'm all alone. We should have, because they have to give us strength. Therefore, what is the process of doing deity worship? The first thing you do when you do begin deity worship is you call the spiritual master to be present. You call the Param Guru to be present. And if you want, you can call the whole disciplic line to be present. They'll come. So, at the same time, there is this mood of separation. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has shown these 2 moods. Raghunath Das Goswami is the follower of Lord Chaitanya. So, in the mood of serving, he would sometimes feel himself remembering the pastimes of the Lord and feeling himself to be present with the Lord. Then at other times he would suddenly realize physically that the Lord was separated from him, and he would feel so much separation. So sometimes we may feel separation, and then again we will feel the Lord's presence. So these 2 will oscillate backwards and forwards, and we should always be, but either way we feel associated. It's union and separation. In either case we will feel association. And this will give us so much satisfaction, strength, protection. Lord Chaitanya addressed the multifarious varieties of branches and sub-branches of the tree of devotional service. Now Lord Chaitanya is going to speak to all of the acharyas, all of the devotees on the tree. We are also some distant leaf. How fortunate we are. We should be feeling so fortunate that we're growing on this tree. But what should you be very cautious about? That the leaf doesn't fall off. It doesn't have to. These are not leaves like a tree. This tree is not a perennial tree. Or it's not a tree that just sheds its leaves like so many trees do in the wintertime. This tree, all the leaves can stay on. Or they can also be shed according to the individual. So now he's going to address everyone on the tree. He's going to address the two big trunks, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu. He's going to address the sub-branches. He's going to address the twigs. And he's going to address the leaves. Everything. He's going to address all of them now. He says, since the tree of devotional service is transcendental, every one of its parts can perform the action of all the other parts. Although a tree is supposed to be immovable, this tree nevertheless moves. Prabhupada says it is our experience in the material world that trees stand in one place. But in the spiritual world, a tree can go from one place to another. Therefore, everything in the spiritual world is called alokika, uncommon or transcendental. Another feature of such a tree is that it can act universally. In the material world, the roots of a tree go deep within the earth to gather food. But in the spiritual world, the twigs, branches, and leaves of the upper portion of the tree can act as well as the roots. Let's see what this means. All the parts of this tree are spiritually cognizant, and thus, as they grow up, they spread all over the world. I am the only gardener. How many places can I go? How many fruits can I pick and distribute? Prabhupada says here, Lord Chaitanya indicates that the distribution of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra should be performed by combined forces. Although he is the Supreme Lord, he laments, how can I act alone? How can I alone pick the fruit and distribute it all over the world? This indicates that all classes of devotees should combine to distribute the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without consideration of time, place, or situation. Remember that Srila Prabhupada's books are the Hare Krishna Mantra explained. Prabhupada said that the books, when we say Sankirtan, these books are the Brihad Kirtan. They are very, very big kirtan because they contain tens of thousands of mantras in each book. There's so many times the name Krishna appears. That's the glory of Prabhupada's purports. It's hard to find a single page without Krishna's name. Prabhupada pointed out that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he would study anyone's writing, sometimes people would give him for publication different writings, he would simply look to see how many times the name Krishna appeared and approve it or disapprove it accordingly. So Prabhupada has written his purports like that. I always tell how I was sitting with Prabhupada in Mayapur and we got a review from one French reviewer, and the French reviewer said that I don't give a recommendation to this Bhagavad Gita translated in French because the author of this translation has changed the original in his translation where it says Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. He has written the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna says. He's always added the word Krishna, and for this reason I can't approve of this book. Prabhupada said this was the best book review he ever got. He said this person has really understood my mission. He appreciated it so much. So, all classes of persons should combine together. What does that mean, all classes of beings? It means that not everybody is going to be a big hero. It takes, it doesn't just take big heroes to win a war. First of all, people don't even know what a hero is anymore. Just recently, there was some news feature about one American pilot who flew up in the air on his training. I'm sure some of you watch the news. You must have been seeing this. He was on a training mission, and he flew over North Korean airspace, and he got shot down. So the co-pilot or whatever was killed, and he got shot down. And now the interviewer who was interviewing him now that he came back to America said, "Are you aware that people are considering you a hero?" And he said, I don't feel I'm the hero. He said, my buddy who got killed, he was the hero. And I was thinking that, what have either of you to do with being heroic? What have you done that is heroic? It is much more heroic to declare war on the material energy than to simply go up in a plane in a mood of war against another country. If you think that a particular nation, is an enemy, and you think it's very difficult, we're against great odds, how can you compare what a devotee has to do when a devotee declares war against Maya? Because wars are fought in foreign nations, or wars are fought in battlefields. But where is there that is not Maya's battlefield? This is the home. A devotee lives, at home. But in the home, the Maya is working. Maya is in the bones. That's how close Maya is. Maya is so close that she's in our bones. She's in the Bhagavad Gita it says, in the mind, lust takes residence. In the mind, in the intellect, in the senses. What to speak of, in the other members of the home or in the ashram. Everywhere we turn, Maya is possibly there. And you have to declare war against this Maya. How much you have to be prepared. How well trained you have to be. How armed you have to be to succeed in such a war. And this person who takes on this battle is really heroic. Anybody who's a devotee in the Krishna consciousness movement is a hero or heroine. And they deserve to be glorified, unlimitedly. Sometimes people say to me, that I find that when I associate with persons who are not devotees, they sometimes have a lot nicer qualities than I find even in the temple devotees. But I think they may have all of those qualities, but they are not declaring war against Maya. So what value is it? What value ultimately does it have? These persons have taken on the most difficult task. Therefore, even if sometimes they're angry, even if sometimes they're, jealous, even if sometimes they're moody, all the things that devotees are. Lazy, stubborn. This is a great opportunity for me to get all my feelings out. Even if they have all these qualities, still I bow down and I take the dust of their feet on my head. Because they're declaring war against Maya. They have the right, or it doesn't matter. We expect that. When a person is on the battlefield, he may curse. Who cares? When you're in the middle of a battle and you curse, nobody even thinks about it. So we should not even consider these apparent impurities amongst the devotees. It is not important. It is simply not important. Because it is so significant that they have determined themselves to dedicate their lives to serving Krishna. That is so much more significant than all of the imperfections. Just like the example is given, the full moon, there are spots on the full moon. Who cares? The whole sky is lit up at night by the full moon. So even if there are some dark spots on the moon, it is inconsequential. And with this mood, all classes of persons should cooperate together. Whatever anyone can do to work together and form a collective preaching machine for spreading Krishna consciousness is welcome. All classes, all ashrams, all varnas, all calibers of devotees. These are the different classes. Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttam are the different caliber of devotees, and brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasis, and Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Sudras. These are the different classes. And we should all take service from everyone. Before it mentioned the disciples, the grand disciples, and those who are admirers. Is that the word that was used? admirers. Interesting, isn't it? They're considered, those who appreciate this Krishna consciousness movement are herein mentioned directly by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami as being part of the Chaitanya tree. Not just initiated devotees. It's a very significant point. Just by admiring and helping this movement, even they're not initiated, they're part of this tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That means, Rupa Goswami says, you give them all respect. He says how to treat different classes of devotees. If someone is chanting Hare Krishna, that means not yet initiated, but appreciating and chanting a little bit and appreciating, you should offer them respects. All respects. If someone is an initiated devotee and worshipping the deity, then you should bow down and understand this person is very genuine sadhaka. And I will say, chanting Hare Krishna, worshipping the deity, doing Sankirtan, this person is very strong sadhaka. They're to be given even more respect. And a person whose heart is completely free from the propensity for finding fault in others, that means who has embraced the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very compassionate mood, you should serve that person with your heart and soul. And beg a little drop of mercy that the qualities that have been found in that person can come on me. I want those qualities. So Lord Chaitanya says it would be a very laborious task to pick the fruits and distribute them alone. And still, I suspect that some would receive them and others would not. Therefore, here's the verse. I order every man within this universe. What is the word man here? So that ladies don't get to feel left out. Says anyone and everyone. Doesn't say man. It says yare tare. Anyone and everyone. I order sabakare. I order to everyone, wherever. Yahan, wherever. Tahan, everywhere. Premafal, the fruit of love of God. Deha, distribute. Yarhe, anyone and everyone. Therefore I order every man within this universe to accept this Krishna conscious movement distributed everywhere. This man means everyone. All men, all ladies, to take this up as an order. Prabhupada says, he quotes Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the Sankirtan movement has been introduced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to dispel the illusions of Maya, by which everyone in this material world thinks himself to be a product of matter and therefore to have many duties pertaining to the body. Actually, the living entity is not this material body. He is a spirit soul. He identifies himself with the body sometimes. He has a spiritual need to be eternally blissful and full of knowledge, but unfortunately he identifies himself with the body, sometimes as a human, sometimes an animal, a tree, aquatic, demigod, and so on. With each change of the body, developing a different type of consciousness, different types of activities, increasingly entangled in material existence, transmigrating perpetually from one body to another. Under the spell of Maya illusion, does not consider the past or future, but is simply satisfied with the short lifespan that has gotten for this present. To eradicate this illusion, Lord Chaitanya has brought the Sankirtan movement and requests everyone to accept and distribute it. A person who is actually a follower of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur must immediately accept the request of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by offering respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet and beg from him the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If one is fortunate enough to beg from the Lord this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, his life is successful. So this is what initiation means. Actually, this is the perfect meaning of initiation. A disciple is begging Lord Chaitanya through Lord Chaitanya's representative for the Hare Krishna mantra. Someone asked me, does initiation make a difference? Here's the difference. The difference is that you're begging for the Hare Krishna mantra and now it's yours. It's given to you officially. The Hare Krishna mantra is everywhere and it is for everyone. But it actually is given at the time of initiation. Prabhupada said, therefore, initiation has actual meaning. The initiator is present and he gives it formally, meaning it is yours now. Examples given by our dear godbrother, Srila Hridayananda Goswami Maharaj, gave once, which I always repeat this example. Now you'll know it's his example that you may have heard on my tapes 100 times. He gives the example of the car. Maybe it was Prabhupada's example, but I heard him give this lecture, in which he gives the example of the car and the car dealer. Did you go and you take a car from a car dealer, and the car dealer lets you try out the car. He gives you the keys, you drive around the block, but you don't own the car. You can use it. He might even say, keep it for the weekend. But you know, on Monday morning, you got to bring the car back. But if finally you say, okay, I want it, and you get the contract, and you sign, and you start making payments, then he gives you the key and says, now it's yours. So, if you crack it up, it's your fault. Before you buy the car, if you crack it up, the dealer was a fool. It's his fault. You don't have to pay. So, if you make so many mistakes before initiation, it's not so serious as afterwards, because once you get the keys and it's your car, if you crack it up, it's your fault. It's your loss. You may have to buy and, start buying and making payments all over again. Very difficult. Now someone may say, then it's better to just go from one dealer to another and borrow the car for the weekend. But sooner or later, all the dealers will figure out what you're doing, and they'll inform each other, and then you won't get any car. Don't try to trick Krishna. Krishna, is the greatest of all cheats. So you cannot out-cheat Krishna. I am the only gardener. If I do not distribute these fruits, what shall I do with them? How many fruits can I alone eat? Prabhupada says, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu produced so many fruits of devotional service that they must be distributed all over the world. Otherwise, how could he alone relish and taste each and every fruit? The original reason that Lord Sri Krishna descended as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to understand Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna and to taste that love. The fruits of the tree of devotional service were innumerable, and therefore he wanted to distribute them unrestrictedly to everyone. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore writes, Anarpita charim chirat karanai arvaitino kilo samarpahitamunu rojala rasam sabhakti shriyam Hari purata sundara dyuti kandamba sandipitaha sadar hridaya kadnare spurato vasachinandanaha. This is the first verse, is the fourth verse of Adi Lila, chapter 1, which describes the purpose for Lord Chaitanya's descent. See how Prabhupada says. There are many precious incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but none were so generous, kind, and magnanimous as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For he distributed the most confidential aspect of devotional service, namely the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada desires that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu live perpetually in the hearts of all devotees, for thus they can understand and relish the loving affairs of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained how we can approach Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. We approach their lotus feet. We become qualified to worship Radha and Krishna by worshipping first Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's more approachable and magnanimous because he does not consider our offenses. Therefore, it is said, when chanting the Panchatattva mantra, there is no offense considered. On the other hand, when chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we have to be so careful to avoid the 10 offenses. The Hare Krishna mantra is the mantra of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. And the Panchatattva mantra is the mantra of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially came in this age to deliver the most fallen persons. And therefore, he is approachable. in his form as the golden-colored sannyasi. But who is that person, Lord Chaitanya? He is actually Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. He is none other than Sri Radha and Krishna combined together. So when we serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very nicely, as he is the Mahaprabhu, and we are his servants, in this mood we should approach. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has to be approached like this. You see yourself as his servant, and he is the master. All of his associates had this mood, this sentiment with him, that he is Mahaprabhu, and not just Prabhu. Advaitacharya was Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu was Prabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the great Prabhu, who Advaita and Nityananda Prabhu are also taking shelter of. So approaching him and serving him. How? By spreading the Sankirtan movement. By taking part, as we have heard, in the Sankirtan movement. Then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees that our surrender and love are complete, then he will reveal his form as Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. He will reveal it to us. So this is the best way to get qualification for tasting this fruit. Sometimes we hear that first of all we should taste or realize, then I can preach. But that is not mentioned here. It is mentioned here that you begin to preach. And it is not very difficult. It's not very difficult to go out and distribute prasadam. What kind of realization does it take? It's not very difficult to go out and sell some books, especially with the techniques that our devotees are gradually revealing. It practically doesn't take, what? It just takes a voice. It doesn't take anything else. It's so simple. And it doesn't take anything to go out and chant Hare Krishna. It's not that you have to have read, well, when I finish reading all of Prabhupada's books, then I'll go out and preach. Not like that. Preaching is done the first day. The first day we can go out and preach. It's so important to go out and preach. The Bhakta and Bhakti training program, what was the first thing? Go out on Harinam and preach. Immediately you get so much reciprocation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for preaching. And that will give you qualification for realization. Otherwise you can study, and I think you will not understand. If you don't also preach, you will not understand what you're studying. Prabhupada said the process of learning is completed when you can teach what you have read and learned. So the teaching is necessary. And Krishna will give you the ability. You already know so much more than an ordinary conditioned soul that you meet on the street. Just within one day of Krishna consciousness, you can practically, teach a university professor something. At least something. What to speak of if you study Prabhupada's books carefully. How learned you can become. You can become the spiritual master for all classes of persons. These books are so perfect in every respect that they'll elevate you. If you study them very carefully, then you can become qualified to instruct all classes of people. And we saw that in India. We had the opportunity to preach to persons who were even learned Pandits and Brahmins, but they did not know the conclusion of the Vedas, as well as our devotees did, who were not born in nearly as good circumstances. So this Krishna consciousness process that Prabhupada has given us actually qualifies you to such a high degree. Going out and distributing these fruits, going out and distributing gives you the best qualification to be able to taste and eat them yourself. So both things have to be done. You should eat the fruits and distribute the fruit. But this fruit, to relish it, requires some good qualification. It is not so easy to relish this fruit of Radha Krishna Nitya Leela. It is not such an easy fruit to relish. So we have to practice and practice and practice, chanting Hare Krishna. Every day we're chanting Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna, Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. Every day we're chanting, but we cannot realize Radha and Krishna. It takes so much practice. to become free of these 10 offenses. In all the letters Prabhupada wrote in the early days when he would send out an initiation letter, please chant 16 rounds, taking care to avoid the 10 offenses. We have to pray to Sri Harinam, O Harinam Prabhu. The Goswamis have written prayers to the holy name. Prabhu, calling the holy name, O Master, please give me shelter. Please free me from my anarthas. Please give me attraction to you, to your form, to your qualities, to your pastimes. We have to actually understand that the holy name is none other than Krishna himself. Radha and Krishna and all of their associates have assembled, and they are allowing us to taste the nectar of their pastimes while chanting. And praying and praying and praying and chanting and chanting and chanting. One of our godbrothers, my godbrother Sachinandan Maharaj, His Holiness Sachinandan Maharaj, he came this past Kartik to Vrindavan, and he told me, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he said, I want to stay at Govardhan. Will you please let me stay here? He said, I just want to be absorbed in chanting all the time. He said, all year long, he's such a big preacher. He said, I never get such an opportunity now that I'm here. I just want to do 6 weeks and chant. And he would begin early in the morning and go all day long till late at night, chanting, non-stop. He'd sit underneath a little tree and chant and break sometimes just to take a little nourishment. Then after 1 or 2 weeks, he moved to a different place. And he was going all over Braj. Nobody knew where he was. And he's just chanting 15, 16 hours a day. Chanting. But we have to become so much eager for this chanting process. And then to go back. He wanted to get mercy so that he could give out more mercy. It wasn't a selfish desire only that he was chanting. He wanted to distribute more and more mercy in better and better quality. So he was thinking, let me get the shelter of the holy name's lotus feet. So when we have a day off, we should use that day off. Days off used to be very special, not just for washing your clothes. You're such a, advanced devotee that you didn't bother to wash your clothes all week, and you use your day off just to do laundry, to sleep an extra 4 hours, to cook a special meal that you didn't have time to cook and eat 3 times more than you needed to eat. And then you consider, that was a great day off. No. I remember our Sankirtan devotees, we looked forward to that day off, and that day off was spent together. We would just do so many extra hours of chanting and reading Prabhupada's books. We'd get together as a group and we would just read intensely. This is what we did on our day off. We dove into the books and into the holy name and into bigger kirtans on those days and to association. It was such a special day. Not that we would kick back and think, now I can relax. No. That was our relaxation. We have to become like madmen or mad women. Actually, that's like madmen or mad women. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a song in which he says that I wait for the day when I can take my birth in Braj and, like a mad woman, be sweeping the road in such a way, sweeping the road, and I will become completely mad, and everyone will think that I am of no value. And then Srimati Lalita Devi will send her assistants and say, now you are qualified. Come with us. So we want to become so mad that we can forget this whole material world and leave it behind. Now we have so much attachment for honor, for following, for prestige. We have so much desire. We have to get to the point where none of this is there in our heart anymore. We just want to go to Vrindavan, the way it is in Vrindavan Mahimamrita is said, that if with 100 locomotives pulling the other way, they still couldn't keep you back. We should have such strong desire. And in the meantime, now, while we're here, we should learn to get that desire through the holy name and through Sankirtan. So we'll stop here, ask if anyone has any comments to make first. Mahatmaji.
It's a comment I wanted to make yesterday.
Okay.
One devotee was asking about performing duties, perfectly and imperfectly. There's a story that Prabhupada's servant, who was his personal servant who took care of his meals and other personal items, became inspired to go on book distribution, being surrounded by all the book distributors. So he asked Prabhupada, can I go on book distribution? Which was, in one sense, kind of an emotional request rather than a practical one, because he had all the duties to perform. Prabhupada said, yes, you can go, but without my blessing.
What happened?
He didn't go.
Do you want to comment on that?
Well, he was asking last night about doing duties perfectly or imperfectly, so perhaps he could have perfectly distributed books. But
Very nice point. But it reminds us of that idea about initiation, the story that is told about Ekalavya. That Ekalavya is very famous in the Mahabharata. Ekalavya is a person who worshipped Dronacharya in the form of a deity because he wanted to have become a better archer than Arjuna. So Dronacharya wouldn't accept him because he wasn't properly born in a high enough caste. He wouldn't accept him. So Ekalavya made a deity of Dronacharya and began to worship it in the forest. And he worshipped it with all mantras, etc., until the point where he became such an expert, archer, and even better than Arjuna. So when he came to see his guru, how did you get all of these powers? He said, I made a deity of you, and I worshipped you. And Dronacharya said, no, I've not accepted you. He said, no, I've accepted you, I've accepted you. He said, then if you've accepted me, you cut off your thumb and prove it. That if you're going to do anything I say, you cut off your thumb and prove to me that you ever actually surrendered. So he cut off his thumb. And of course, when he cut off his thumb, you can't be the best archer without a thumb. And so Arjuna remained the best archer. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented about this story, that many people praised that Ekalavya was a great person, a great devotee. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's comment is that he was not, because his guru didn't accept him. The guru never accepted him. He didn't accept him. He tried to go and create his own situation, to force a person to become his guru, to force the guru to give him certain powers. But actually the guru never accepted him. So it's not enough that you accept guru, but guru has to also accept you. And then the example is given that one time a disciple wanted to get initiated, and the guru was unwilling to accept the disciple for whatever reason. So finally, when the guru was coming one day, the disciple stuck out his foot and tripped the guru. And the guru said, Hare Krishna. And the disciple said, now I got the mantra. So this type of initiation is not the right way to get guru, to trick and trip the guru. So in the same way, Prabhupada said, you can go out, but without my blessings. Then what is the value? No value.
Is that a true story?
About Ekalavya?
The tripping the guru?
It may be. It is true, and at least figuratively, even if not physically, people do try to force the guru to give initiation. Yes, Krishna Desh.
Would the guru at a later time accept the disciple who left him and wanted him to be his guru?
If someone is sincere, then generally a disciple will be accepted by a guru sooner or later. Lakshmi Priya.
What should Ekalavya have done?
He should have accepted whatever Dronacharya wanted of him. He should have asked, what do you want? me to be. Not that I want to be the best archer. His whole mood was wrong. He wasn't trying to please Dronacharya and thereby Krishna. He wanted something. His whole approach was fruitive. Therefore he was rejected. He was unqualified because of that. In other words, the guru should study the nature of the disciple. The disciple Guru should make the disciple wait for initiation. Yes, Mother Kamala.
You were saying that we should be non-discriminate in our preaching, but sometimes we think that somebody may be faithless or too proud or non-receptive.
Yes, Mother Kamala says that sometimes we may think that someone is faithless or too proud or not receptive, so we may end up discriminating. That depends upon our strength. Narad Muni could go and make a hunter into a devotee. So ideally we should become so elevated that we can preach to any class of person, even inimical persons, and make them favorable. But there is an order for the Madhyam Adhikari. A Madhyam Adhikari is told to discriminate. So this statement by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of not discriminating is ultimately for an Uttamadhikari. And we can also say generally for Sankirtan devotees, try not to be too discriminating where you stand there and really, get on the mental platform and land up missing practically everyone who walks by you, thinking, well, this person's not good enough, this person's not good enough, this person, this person looks like he got out of the bed the wrong way, this person's wife looks, like she controls him. This guy has too big a nose. It could get so much that we would lose the opportunity to preach. So generally I said that. But that ultimate statement, that no discrimination means Uttamadhikari. And we are meant to be Madhyamadhikari, which means we are meant to discriminate those who are innocent from those who are inimical. People who are inimical, we should certainly, if we know they're inimical, we should avoid them and not try to preach to them. Because if you try to preach to someone who's inimical, it increases his enmity. His offenses increase and it becomes worse. Maharaj.
You also say that not considering who is fit or unfit, that everything just the mood of a preacher wanting to give Krishna consciousness to everybody. Perhaps some won't take it, but the mood is there too.
Very nice. He's compassionate. A preacher is Krishna conscious and compassionate. He wants to see everyone take. Yes. All right?
You were saying that chanting Hare Krishna, we can easily make offenses. Then why don't we go on Hare Nam and we tell people to fallen souls to chant Hare Krishna when all they're going to do is make offenses?
Yes, but that chanting is better than not chanting at all.
Wouldn't it be better if we told them to chant a different mantra than the Hare Krishna mantra?
No, the point is that chanting the holy name is beneficial. It's better that they chant even on the offensive stage than to not chant at all. Because Krishna's name is so powerful that gradually by taking the instruction and association of a devotee, the chanting will purify them if they continue. It is beneficial. Eventually they'll come to the offenseless stage. It's not that a person who commits, someone may say, who's better? A person who doesn't chant at all? That's basically the question. Is it better to not chant at all or to chant offensively? It's better to chant offensively than to not chant at all. The instruction is there to chant. So it's the biggest offense is to disobey that instruction.
And the 10 offenses, the 10th offense is even after understanding so many instructions on the matter, that one should chant in the 10th or offenses.
Meaning?
Meaning that they haven't received received any instructions about chanting, so that certainly is as great as the
That's a nice point. Good point. Yudhishthira says that they haven't received instructions about the chanting. They're just being told to chant. So even if they've committed offenses, it's not so serious as someone else. But then someone else may say, okay, I'll chant, but don't tell me anything. The questions are going to keep going on. Let her ask. Go ahead.
The verses that you read mentioned all types of devotees. And initially I thought, all types of devotees are different faiths. And I've heard devotees speak of Krishna consciousness, of other people of other faiths as devotees, but then I've also heard people make distinctions between devotees and them. Where does one draw the line, and do we consider other people devotees because they are dedicated to God?
Yes, people of all religions are devotees of God. They're all devotees of God, but they may not be of the same caliber. There's beginning devotees, intermediary devotees, and advanced devotees. And within those three categories, there are unlimited degrees. So someone may be a devotee who's a very beginning devotee. So generally, different religions have more or less beginners or intermediary or advanced. So we can say with confidence that the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition has the most advanced devotees. And we have seen, I don't have to name the names of the religions, but there are so many religions on this planet right now, they have very neophyte devotees. They believe in God just by lip service only. Practically the only service they do is with their lips, saying, I believe. And practically everything they do shows the opposite. They're devotees, but what kind of devotee is that? It's so beginning stage, so neophyte. Very neophyte. But if someone is a sincere person, just like our friend Elizabeth, who works at Thanksgiving Square, she's a Catholic, and she has a very large interfaith, a temple? Network, okay, interfaith network. And she was a nun for 27 years, and she's very much a devotee of God. There's no doubt about that. So how can we say that because she's not, a member of, she's not a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she's not a devotee? No. She's gone to Vrindavan, now she's going to Mayapur. She's going to Mayapur to be working on the Prabhupada Centennial Committee on the part for World Holy Name Day. See, which will be, to get people of all faiths to chant the holy name, whatever holy name, in their tradition on that day, one day in the Prabhupada Centennial year. So she's a devotee, Elizabeth. Mother Kamala.
You often speak about how we can actually move Lord Chaitanya by our sincere preaching. But I recently heard a class where Devotee was saying we should never think that we can. He says, suppose we went to the spiritual world, we would be so insignificant that no one would even notice us there or acknowledge us. So in one sense, we're so insignificant and there's so many great elevated devotees in the spiritual world.
Okay. The question is that we're speaking about we should be in such a way that Lord Chaitanya will notice us by our preaching. But Mother Kamala says she heard a class in which some devotee was speaking that we're so insignificant when we go to the spiritual world, practically no one will even notice us. That is certainly a right sentiment, that we should feel ourselves most insignificant, but it is a completely inaccurate statement that in the spiritual world no one will notice us. Krishna is unlimited in his capacity, and so are his associates. And therefore, they can give their association so freely and liberally that each and every person feels that they are directly associating with Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the picture of the Rasa dance proves this. That Krishna expands himself, and so does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have the power to expand himself, so that each and every devotee feels himself to be side by side with the Lord. The other picture there, the cowherd boys were sitting taking prasadam with Krishna, and every single one of them felt that Krishna was sitting by his side. And they all had personal exchanges, even though they were set up in circles, gradually concentric circles around, and each one of them experienced being with Krishna. So it's not true philosophically or realistically, but it is true that individually we should think we're very insignificant. But if we become too insignificant, that's not good. Because if you become so insignificant that you're like very, very small and God is very great, then that is not the fruit that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. And then you lose the opportunity to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is explained in this verse that Prabhupada quotes of Rupa Goswami, that he came to give Radha Krishna Nitya Leela. And Radha Krishna Nitya Leela doesn't come to someone who is in the mood that I'm so unimportant, insignificant, and God is so great. That is a mood which is full of awe and reverence. And that's not the mercy that Chaitanya, that's not the fruit, the prema that Lord Chaitanya came to give. That's not the Krishna prema that he came to give. In fact, that isn't Krishna prema, it's Vaikuntha prema. It's not even Braj prema. So it's the wrong mood. We may think ourselves very fallen, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays. We may feel ourselves very insignificant, but there should also be this conception at some point. At some point, both have to be there. I'm very fallen, I'm very inconsequential, I'm very undeserving. At the same time, you are very kind, O Nanda Nandana. You are very kind, O Sachi Nandana. My Guru Maharaj, you are very kind. Even though I don't deserve to be an atom of dust at your lotus feet, still you are very kind and you recognize me. Somehow it goes between both. It can't just be one. Because if it just becomes one, then it doesn't get into the mood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. There has to be some intimacy in the prayer also. And you can see, you read Krishna book. What is the mood that Prabhupada is creating in the Krishna book? What is the mood that is there in the Bhagavatam verses and which Prabhupada has imbued within his words? Very intimate relationship with Krishna. And what is that mood that's created? You can say that's just the associates of Krishna who have this intimate mood. But by hearing these pastimes, we're attracted to that mood. It creates an attraction in the heart. Just like by reading Chaitanya Chaitamrita. While you're reading Chaitamrita, you feel as if you're standing there appreciating and associating with these persons who are associating with Lord Chaitanya. You're able to appreciate their service and association with Lord Chaitanya in the mood they're doing it in. Now, by appreciating in that mood, one day you will have that mood. That's what it means. And if you're in the mood of, oh, God is very great and I'm very insignificant, I'm very fallen, that is the mood of Dasya Ras, Vaikuntha mood. Somehow both have to be there. I think we have to close because the next part of our program is to appreciate the Sankirtan devotees. Is there more light in this? This is the maximum light this room has? It's the opposite of our Houston temple.